place to start with our podcast, right? The whole purpose of our new podcast is to spread the word and to tell folks that might be interested about what we're doing and how we've been doing it and the vision behind what we're doing and really the overall mission, which I think has evolved into a really noble and rewarding from a lot of different perspectives operations. So I'm proud of what we've been able to accomplish so far. We've got a lot to accomplish with respect to our business and getting the word out there and developing robust veteran hiring programs.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get started. I think a good place for us to start, frankly, is just an introduction, right? I think it would behoove anybody that's listening to learn more about us as individuals, where we come from, and kind of how our opinions and thoughts have formed over the years that we've spent in the industry. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start with you. I'm going to interview you.
Okay. All right.
If that's
Yeah.
okay. So
Oh.
Drew McDanald, my partner in crime since 2016, I believe.
Yeah. 4 years. That's crazy.
Yeah. Going way back to our tech systems days, which is which stretches back to 98, I think it was. I moved from Houston to Austin in 97, and then you joined. You actually moved from the Fort Worth area.
It was a journey from the Metroplex. Yeah, I worked in 3 offices in the Metroplex. Austin was my 4th tech systems office, but yeah, in 2000.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, that's where we begin. So let's start basic, right? Tell us a little bit about Drew and where he comes from and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So, Drew is from El Paso, Texas. I went to school here in the area, went to Southwestern University and majored in philosophy. And, any good philosophy major, I had no idea what I was going to do coming out of college. And I was lucky enough to interview with tech systems, where a lot of people in our industry grow up, and they have it certainly had a great training program. And they could still have one. And so that's kind of how I got into the recruiting industry. And as you said, I started up in Fort Worth, and I bounced around in 3 different offices in the Metroplex, and then I came to Austin in 2000 and have been here since. And so I think the tie-in into what we're kind of doing is around 2001, when the .com bubble went, I moved into a sales role for tech systems, and really it was a tough time to move into sales, and effectively, the only place I was able to sustainably grow business was up at Fort Hood, and is what I realized in doing that was how different that it was. A completely different, I was almost literally, obviously not literally, but literally moving into a different world and a different language that I had to completely acclimate myself to be successful. And that's where I truly begin to understand, again, I'm just Drew, civilian philosophy major out of college, how different these worlds were. And then, as I really got engaged, it would be like, and then I'd come back into the tech systems office and try to explain what was going on. And I had a really difficult time doing that. And ever since then, a lot of my living has really been made working with supporting the federal government, supporting DoD contracts. And if you're going to do that, you need to know the customer. And that means kind of understanding the military. And guess who supports those contracts a lot of times? Well, veterans. And so that kind of got me in this kind of career-long journey of being, I'm just, Drew, I'm not a hero. I am at my core a recruiter, but I do have a passion for that language translation, and and it's kind of brought me to where we are today, and why I'm kind of really passionate about doing this.
Well, I can say, the way that our paths crossed way back when, and how we've kind of circled back has been somewhat of a night and day experience. And the reason why I say that, I'm going to tell a little story about Drew. So uh, I was a senior recruiter, I'm sorry, a senior salesperson whenever Drew joined the office, and like any other office, there's cliques and groups and people that have grown accustomed to working with one another, and the new guy, so to speak, who is transitioning from another office, is always kind of the person that has to figure their way out, or be absorbed by the group, or not. And Drew had a little bit of a difficult time, I could say, because he was from day one in the office, his head was down and he was working. And not to say that everybody else wasn't working, but in an environment such as we worked in at Tech Systems, it's very social. You do a lot with the people that you work with on a daily basis, both in and out of the office. But you also do a lot of chit chatting and so on and so forth throughout the day to compare candidates and talk about whatever and water cooler stuff, obviously. But Drew was always head down and working his tail off, and it provided it gave me an impression from the get-go that he was serious about getting down and getting to work. And I left the company probably after Drew had been there for about a year, and whenever he was growing up and starting to service the customers out of Fort Hood, I missed that. But his reputation preceded him, because years after, and whenever I was at another staffing firm, and Drew was out there, I tapped his shoulder because of the reputation he had built for getting in, understanding, and providing service to DoD specific contracts. So you made a heck of an impression on me, for what that's worth, way back when. And man, I whenever we got back together and reacquainted, so to speak, with one another, it's just been hell on wheels. And I appreciate everything you've done. And man, people don't change, and you haven't changed. You're still nose to the grindstone, and I'm very, very appreciative of that. So
Yeah. Well, thank you. So I have a story. I'm going to return with a short story about you. So back in the day, I think you'd agree. It was a culture of training, right, that we grew up with. It was a very strong training culture, and it extended beyond the formal training, right? And so we were encouraged to do lots of role plays. Now, I'm one of those people, the way I learn, I always say this, I learn by doing. In the actual role plays, if I'm, I really had a hard time getting a lot out of role plays themselves, but I always learned actually a lot more from talking to senior people after the role plays when I'm getting the feedback. And I always remember that, Tim, that you put something on the board about how people learn that is actually, because I didn't really understand how I learned until that moment. You said, teach me, tell me, show me. And ever since then, I'm like, oh, like that's how I learn. And so that was been, I think you created a hierarchy of learning. And so that was been a really, something I've always reflected on that I don't know if I've ever told you, but you probably said in all the role plays I had, that I can't think of anything that's had as much of an impact. And that's a really simple idea. And you might've just read that morning on something, but that was, Tim, you as a senior, very successful guy in the office, that was something that always kind of stuck with me. And so, yeah, there are some lessons you taught me 20 years ago that so that's one right back to you.
well,
So
that's awesome, and I appreciate that. I can honestly say I don't remember that, but I do remember that phrase, because I learned it in the military, actually.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Uh,
here we go.
there you go. Yeah. So my background, I grew up in Dickinson, Texas, and right after high school, I decided to go straight into the military with three buddies of mine, which we'll feature, by the way, on a future podcast. That'll be a hoot. But anyway, um, yeah, went straight in the military. Became I was in the Signal Corps. I was a radio operator and maintainer, and had a blast. I spent 4 years in the military overseas in Germany. I actually went to Germany and twice, Alabama, Mississippi. Um, where else? Oklahoma. Gosh, Oklahoma. Fort Sill, Oklahoma,
Mm.
home of the field artillery. Hoorah! Anyway, yeah. So, and after that, I loved the military. I loved everything about the military, but I did not like where I was in the order of things. I wanted to become a commissioned officer. So I got out of the military in 1988 and decided that I was going to go for my pilot's license. And once I got my degree, I finished my degree in rapid pace, and found out I was colorblind. So I
Oh,
had
wow.
to adjust fire, as they say in field artillery, and decided that instead of going back into the military, I would get into the business world, and met up with a person that worked at Aerotech Data Services at the time, which was the pre-organization, I should say. I don't think that's the right word, but it was an organization that preceded Tech Systems, and it was an interesting time. It was a fantastic organization. I think they still are to this day. Great training organization, but that's where I really learned to kind of put together everything that I'd acquired in the military. But it's important to say, before I joined Tech Systems, I actually worked as a contract employee for
Oh,
ProStaff, another staffing company, and had no idea. And this will be relevant, I think, to some of our discussions with the veterans that are coming out and transitioning from military life to civilian life. I was a contractor, and what that meant I didn't know at the time. I knew that I would go to work for a company, and I wasn't an employee of that company. I was an employee of another company, and every Friday I had a timesheet that had mimeograph paper on it, copy paper on it, and with three copies of paper that would capture my time. And I would take my time card and I'd slip it through a little mail slot in another office within the office complex that I worked in. And I had no idea I'd get paid on the next Friday for the time that I had the previous week. And I never knew who was really paying me. And I was a pain in the butt to the company that I was working for, doing the actual work for, because every week I was going to my supervisor there and saying, why am I working for this other company? Why am I not working for you? I'm doing all the work for you. Please hire me. And he
right.
said, super, super good guy. He said, I would hire you in a second, but I can't. I can't, because we're under contract with this other company, and you have to be on assignment for 6 months or whatever, and then we can make you an offer. Well, that worked out for about 4 months, 5 months, and I decided that I needed a different needed to take a different path, and I met the person at Tech Systems, and that's whenever I realized what was going on. That's where I realized what was going on, because the way that the company Tech Systems did it in terms of treating their employees was so different than the experience that I had, in the sense that I knew who my account manager was at Tech Systems. Or Tech Systems were the folks at Tech Systems were taught to have relationships with their employees, and to be responsible for the employee relations side of the house, from everything from talking about benefits to understanding how their career can progress with different assignments, and being really more integral part of an employee's assignment when they're working for a host company. So um, that formed an opinion in my mind and a concept in my mind that has stuck with me to this day, is that the contingent employees that work for any particular company and not being an employee of that company are ones that sometimes fall through the cracks. And we at Tango Alpha 3, I can say, and you can verify this, Drew, that it's just, that's been an overarching goal of ours, is to be integrated with any assignment, every assignment that our employees are on, and really, you know, I'm proud of the work that they do for the companies that they're working for, but more than that, I'm proud that they're our employees, and I want them to feel that same sense of connection, if you will, to us, as opposed to the companies that they're actually working for. You know, it always makes sense for companies to look at people um, from a, you know, a more human perspective. But it's really hard to do that in a lot of cases when they're contract employees, and so supplementing that human element, or that perspective into the human element is our job, and I think we do it well. I think we do it very
Yes.
well, and especially with the perspective that I've had of coming out of the military and getting into the civilian world. There is a huge gap in understanding, in a lot of cases, in understanding how to transition from a military life to a civilian life, that I think we do a pretty good job of helping people navigate.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a totally, we both kind of had the benefit of working in both worlds. And we come at, you know, I moved into the world and you moved from that world. So we come at it from different perspectives. But the fact is that there is a completely a different language. And so if you're a transitioning soldier, you know, it's very difficult to articulate, use the language of the civilian sector to articulate what you've done. And then also there's I think a tendency for private sector people in the private sector to kind of flatten out military people, right? And they make all these assumptions. And I thought you made a fantastic point the other day um, in a call we had, and it was kind of like there was this tension because both you, when you get you know, a transition military, they've worked in an incredibly, not only is it it's very diverse, but you've people that have, so they've had to work with people of all ethnicities and, you know, religions but had to do it cohesively to accomplish a goal, right? But at the same time, they're also, it's a very merit-based system. So they're also ambitious, you know, and it's hard. And so I kind of see that as, I mean, if you're as a private organization, I mean, that's kind of, that's what you're trying to get, right? You want a player, but you also want someone that's competitive. And I do think that the military ingrains that in a way I'm not sure any other organization on the planet can, because it is again, I guess it's you know, tech systems is kind of a training culture, and the military is that in an extreme. And so you get that experience in a way that you really, no other company can spend that amount of time bringing forth those attributes in people in the way the military can.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, think about this: a company is very deliberate whenever they're looking
Right.
for folks to carry out specific functional duties. Right? They're looking for a function. They're looking for somebody with some aptitude.
Yep.
But and it's finite in that sense. In the military, it's not. Right? Yeah, I remember, you know, going to basic training, and before we all got haircuts, and we're at the reception station, and you see people with long hair, and people with no hair, and people with beards and goatees, and there's a very individualistic aspect of everybody that comes together. But you know what, in the course of an hour, whenever they're shaving heads,
Right.
and people are getting the same exact haircut, we all
Right.
start looking alike really, really quickly. And then
Yep.
combine the fact that they're giving us our clothes that we're learning how to wear, and all of it looks exactly the same. And
Right.
really, really quickly, you get a sense of truly a melting pot. I mean, literally, that's an overused phrase, but gosh, there's people from all over the world coming together and saying, hey, look, train me. and
Right.
and we're all getting trained the same exact way. We all look the same exact way, and we all eat the same exact food all of a sudden.
Right.
And that's the reality that you're faced with when you get in. But by the time you've had your military career, and you've been able to experience um, the diversity that starts to bloom after basic training, and your advanced individual training, and you start learning your craft. You realize the value of having people from all over the world, and from different walks of life, because you get to experience it firsthand, where I mean, you live, eat, and breathe with people that really have the same mission as you. Now, going back to your statement about individual merit, nobody, very few people, I should say, in the military get in and want to stay at the same rank, right? There are components to advancement, which include obviously time, good conduct. You have to be a good soldier, good sailor, good airman, and we'll debate on whether Marines can really be good at some other time, but they wear it with a badge of honor, as they should. But at the end of the day, you learn how to care about one another, everybody to work as a unit, but also to advance yourself, and to get into a position to where you are training other people, to where you are leading other people, to where you are responsible for more than you were at a previous rank or job. So if I'm a company that's looking for talent, and obviously you need that functional aspect of whatever it is they do, and most people that have been in the military will show some evidence of being trained, and being mastering a specific job. So if a company's looking for somebody with a very specific skill set, and they're from the military, you're building in that ability to work in a diverse environment. You're building in the ability to bring on somebody that is not just going to sit on their hands when
Right.
things need to get done,
Yep.
right? And I think those are some of the values that frankly, it's taken me several years after the military to kind of formulate that perspective.
Yep.
And frankly, we're in a really, I would say, an advantageous position, because we're helping those guys, right? We're helping those people that are coming out of the military that don't understand that they do have
That's right.
that skill set, or that they don't have that that they do have that unique characteristic that a lot of companies are really, really looking for. So yeah, again, I think that I'm so fortunate that we're in the position we're in, and I hope that tomorrow is just like today, and the day before, in the sense that I feel like every single day we're doing something to move that mission forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't say it any better. Yeah, I'm excited to be on this journey.
So let's talk about this journey. I think we've been doing what we've been doing for about 4 years now. We've evolved as
Hmm.
a company. We started in Silicon Valley, and now we're in Austin, Texas. In Silicon Valley, we were primarily a local small boutique type firm, and in Austin now we've got, we've had the opportunity to fill roles from Alaska to Florida and everywhere in between. So that's super exciting, and
Yep.
again, it's testament to the fact that I think we're doing things right,
Yep.
and we have some happy customers. But I want to talk about the podcast. So moving forward, obviously we want to highlight what we're doing, but more than that, I think there's a lot of stories out there that can help bolster what we're saying now, and provide perspectives, not only to potential customers or to people out there that are looking to hire veterans, but also to veterans that are transitioning out or have transitioned out, that are wondering what the next step is, where they go from here. And we're going to talk to some people that are probably more on the path of just trying to figure out what they want to do, to people that have figured it out and have been through hard knocks like you wouldn't believe, that are just amazing people. So not that that's a teaser, but that's a teaser to keep listening.
Yep.
And
This
I
is
hope
the low point.
that's right. So I hope we can provide value, and this gets a little bit smoother than what it has been today.
Well, hey, again, this has been fun.
Yep. Let's do it again. All right,
Yes,
Drew.
sir. All right.
For Drew, this is Tim Chapman at Tango Alpha 3, and thanks for listening.